Alrighty, welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm here. We're back for another week with the one and only JimmySoDope. I actually love that name, my friend. It is, I mean, because you're like, hey, who is he? JimmySoDope. And it's like, who's Jimmy? And he's like, doesn't matter, man. He's so dope. Like,
Oh, he's so dope.
what?
It worked, man. It started as my Twitter name, bro. And people just started calling me like they just stuck like that would just be my name, and they see me Jimmy So Dope. They would just people say it to me. My name was originally Jimmy Dice, Jimmy because my name is James, but Dice is William Dice was the painter in the 1800s painting portraits for the kings and queens of London. So it was Jimmy Dice, the royal artist, and it was just too much to explain all the time.
Yeah, I was
So I
going to
said,
be honest. When you said Jimmy Dice, I was like, it like Dice Clay? Like, is that what
right,
we're
right, it worked. It worked for when it worked. I made I made a name for myself, man. I did it from nothing, bro. I had no. My older brother had a rap group. My little brother had a rap group, and I was an athlete, And the true story, after I tore my ACL, I started writing more raps, and I wrote a song, and my friend said, "Hey, man, if you ever quit writing music, we're gonna jump you." I'm like, okay, cool. I take it. I got it. Understood. And not that I was
well?
afraid of them, but but that's how it started.
Yeah, you got the message loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Well, okay, you gave me a lot of information in like the shortest period of time ever. So let me ask you this. I'm definitely going to ask you about sport at some stage now because you've opened that can of worms. But you having your name originally come from an 1800s artist who would depicted royals. Like, how did number one? There are not many rappers who would go to that depth of like, yeah, I called myself a name based on a famous, not even a famous, a like deep cut historical figure that I found personally that I aligned to. How, like, can you explain that to me? It's such a deep cut in terms of history. I had no idea that person even existed.
Thank you for this. Thank you. I just want to say thank you before I say anything else. Thank you. Um, so I went to high school, man, in Newark, New Jersey. I went to school called Arts High, right? So I'm a classically trained visual artist, right? So I've done everything from ceramics to airbrush to oil, you name it. I built it. I landed on photography. Photography became my thing by my junior year, and so when I started making music, two things happened. I realized at my mom's house there was no pictures of me or my dad. Like what the hell? Where are we? Where's the Jameses on this motherfucker? Where's the James? I don't see enough James around here. I'm James Jr. All right, so yeah, I said, I'm gonna start creating more memories, man, and I would start performing at this point, and I'd be on stage, and I couldn't believe that would be a sea of people looking up at me, waiting for me to say something. So I started taking pictures of the audience, pictures of my supporters, my fans, and yeah, and just my photography led me into journal. It's like I create things, man, and the idea of like how deep I think into it, bro, is really like it's deeper than music for me, It's art.
Yeah. So why that historical figure though? Because there are lots, right? But why
Ah,
why did that one stand out to you to be like, yeah, I would be personified by this?
well, it was art style, and just the idea of being the royal artist, because obviously there's a lot of painters, but this person he spanned over a time period. He's seen a lot, but he got to play his role. He had a good life, and at least for a good part of his life anyway. He lived with the royals, and he was an artist. So it's like I look at today's society, and this is really my deeper than I could express back then. But thinking about it now, it's like I understand the perspective that I had back then. It's like, yo, like we can do anything we want to do. Like there is no limitations. There is no, I can do my passion and I could ascend to as high as I want to, and whatever I feel is greatness to me, you know, and I can do it my way. So before I even thought about being an entrepreneur, you know, all those things, I knew that I can live like a king with my art.
Yeah. I can only imagine the types of conversations that artist would have had with the Royals. Cause
Right?
like it would be so weird because you would know them so intimately. And I find it hard to believe that they would sit in silence. Cause I think you can't help
Impossible.
it.
It's too much being demanded. They have too many people talking to them to sit in silence. You know, they can't I imagine they can't even hold a position long enough for me to like to finish the sketch. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but that's life. You know, life changes and everything changes, and even the idea of like, you know, having a like what like the idea like I have to paint these people when, you know, I want to do more landscapes, or maybe I could do more landscapes if I get the king to come outside and be in the meadows, and I you know what I'm saying, I paint the big picture. So it just the approach is everything, you know.
Yeah. Have you always been drawn to art? Like, have you known from a young age that you've always had artistry within you?
Yes, very young. I know I don't remember when I started painting and drawing. It's always been, but I remember my first poem. I was in the second grade.
Do you remember it off by heart?
Absolutely not, but I know I wrote it for Tanisha.
so, so it was love that got you first.
Yeah. With music, you know, music. My dad was he was a roadie for the Manhattans, the soul group
Yeah.
in the 70s, so 70s, 80s, something like that. So 70s, probably late 60s, going to the 70s, whatever. But but yeah, so he music was always a thing. Music was just it was part of the fabric of the oxygen in the room. You feel me? And so uh, music has always been, even though I found ways to channel my artistry, just create. Music has always been the leading force, you know, in my existence.
How do your parents describe music? Like, obviously, you would have seen them as a kid and they would have been introducing it to you. And I'm always interested because my parents were not very musical. I don't think I had a very musical household. The irony of me talking to musicians all the time is not unknown to me, but and I always think about it like, what did I not experience, and what would be the difference of someone whose father and parents were so ingrained in music and in music culture, and what that would have done to me as a kid?
Well, I mean, although music was really uh, relevant in my household, um, my dad, the best thing he did for me was he gave me permission to think. Right. By that I mean, you know, he would ask me open-ended questions and just and expect a response. You know, even if I didn't answer right there in the moment, I took time to think about it. He would ask me again, you know, and I remember in particular, he asked me one question. We used to go to church a lot. My dad was Muslim, but everybody else was Christian. So we used to go to church and in the mosque a lot, whatever. And I learned about dinosaurs in school. And but in the Bible, like, you know, they don't really. I'm like, Daddy, what dinosaurs in the? No, he asked me about dinosaurs, like asking was dinosaurs in the Bible, and I couldn't answer the question because I don't. I've heard a lot of stories, but they never talk about no Tyrannosaurus Rexes and such. You feel me? So when he asked me that question, are dinosaurs in the Bible? It wasn't me to answer it. He's wanted me just to question everything that I take in. You know, so he really opened my mind to everything. Like I'm able to be in any space and learn anything and really explore my imagination and act upon it because my dad told me it was okay to do so.
You know, it's a funny thing you bring up. I have thought this for a long time. It's asking the right questions that get you the right answers. And it's actually through questioning and through asking that you learn the most. And I find that like within myself, of like, if I ask myself the right questions, then I will find the right answers.
Facts. And I took a course called Mastery, and I spent a lot of time working on my mental health, right? From like age 25 to now, right? And in Mastery, they speak about discovery, right? Through possibilities. You know what I'm saying? And the more you're open to discover, the more possibilities you have to experience. You know, so it's the yeah, it's that being open to asking yourself the questions: Who am I? What am I doing? What's my purpose? Asking questions and really getting to the bottom of it without having to expect an answer, but know that life is happening and you get to play the game because you have a choice. So as you're doing it, never stop asking your questions. Never step out of discovery. You know what I'm saying? Like always be open to possibilities.
Yeah, and I think in the ponderance of the question you ask, which we're now getting like super deep into the philosophy of questions, but I think in simply thinking about the questions that you ask, you find that you don't actually think what you think. Like, because you find out that like, oh, I don't actually think that. And all I needed to do was take my time and like dig a little bit deeper and try and uncover why I think that. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, maybe that's not right. Maybe I've been telling myself I believe that, but that's not
Right.
actually true.
Right. That has been my story, you know, and we call it the come from, right? Like from which space are these questions arriving? You know, is it arriving in your anxious mind? You know what I'm saying? Without going too deep, but you know, is it your narcissistic mind? Like is this your ego? Like, you know what I'm saying? Your pride? Like which part he was even asking the question because there's multiple sides to it and for the most part we're all things because we experience all of it at different points in our lives. So you know, like I'm just grateful to be present to like these moments. So I know it sounds so philosophical, whatever like that, bro. But it's like, yo, like life is really good, bro. Like, and I'm really living my life in a way that I am and enjoying it. You know, and I mean, I feel I'm starting to feel more and more and more fulfilled, and I'm just leaning into my music and my creativity.
Yeah. And, I've said this before and I'm working on it, but like gratefulness is a practice.
Gratitude is the attitude.
Yeah.
It was the attitude. You know, so and that's really what like the project. I don't know if have you heard the music? I don't know
Yeah. The
if right.
Flowers EP came out.
Yeah, right, the demo, right. So part of the initial idea of it was like, yes, give me my flowers, but it's give flowers, you know. And really, I pretty much did that, you know, throughout the project as far as like, you know, certain cadences and like, you know, certain flows and energies, certain sounds as far as production, you know, really if I like paying homage, you know, and yeah, I get to experience all these good things, but at the same time, I get to share it. I get to share it with the world. Like for me to be on this journey that I'm on and not share what I learned, I feel like I'd be doing everybody a disservice, including myself.
Well, do you think that's a problem that we have in society right now is we don't give enough flowers?
Uh, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Because a lot of times they do it, you know, because everything is so business driven. They do it with the incentive in mind, so nothing even feels. A lot of things don't feel genuine, and it takes away from it. I know we get to be, you know, hustlers and bosses and entrepreneurs and money by any means, but it don't feel good to do business with people that you know do bad business. You know, so like say for instance, to be specific, KRS-One he didn't do the Grammys 50 of hip hop thing because why took y'all 50 years? What's going like 50 years? Y'all couldn't hit us. This is his words, like, you know, verbatim, like, y'all couldn't hit us up at 47, at least hit us up at 47, 48, 49, so we could warm up to it. But y'all ignored us for 50 years, you know what I'm saying? Or y'all gave us awards, but didn't put it on TV, you know? So a lot of times giving flowers is being vulnerable, you know? It's the ability to, you know, give somebody something that they may not even want from you. You know what I'm saying? You may not ever get a thank you. You may never get a, you know, they may never show appreciation. Even if they feel on the inside, you may never experience it. So the ability to give flowers is tough. And it's tough for people to say thank you for paving the way, especially when if I say it to a rapper, he may diss me, use my soundbite to diss me, put me on fucking Summer Jam screen or some stupid shit. So it's tough.
Yeah, but on the flip side, if you don't do that, then they die and they never knew. Like I always look at what's his name? The I think the Dutch painter, the dude who Van Gogh. Van Gogh made zero money and was not successful and not revered until after he died. He never knew that his painting and that his art was worthy. And that is so sad to me, that there will be people in our lives that are not aware of how important they are to the people around them and how important what they do. And so, like, to me, if someone's going to spit in your face for giving them flowers, that's a reflection of them, not you. But at the very least, you did your thing and you're like, hey, man, I need you to know, in case you never know, that I want to tell you this. It's important to me, because if you were to go tomorrow and not knowing, that would suck.
Yeah, yeah. And that's my thing about death. You know, the last time I saw you will be the last time I ever see you. You know, so I definitely get that part, right? And again, like the question is like, what would it take for the masses to say thank you, you know, to give flowers without any care of reflection? Yes, it's gonna take healing because again, it takes a level of vulnerability to extend the act. You know, so no matter who you are, no matter how you are, no matter what level of mindset you are, like yeah, like in the grand scheme of things, right? You know, giving is the same as receiving. So me giving you these flowers, man, that's just I felt good doing this, and that's the energy I'm gonna ride with. What you brought to the table, I don't have to accept. I can acknowledge it. I most definitely will. I just can't help but do that. But I don't have to take that home in any way, shape, or form, because I come in peace and love. So yeah, like once we can approach things from a once a person, I'll say myself, once I learn how to be non-attached, not necessarily detached, but just like I'm not attached. I'm not attached to the outcome of whatever transaction between myself and another person. You know, and I'm still getting better at it. But I did a lot of work to get here though. So
yeah, I think it's hard because you talk about like the ego, because that's what it is. It's like the ego is like, hey, I worked on myself to be in a place where I can thank you, but I want recognition because I need to feel the return that someone's acknowledged the work that I did. And then when you don't get that, you're like, why did I put? And it's really weird. I go through that where I'm like, I want the recognition, and I don't like that I want it, but I recognize that I do.
It's a real thing, and it shows that we are all things, we are a multitude of things. All of us, you know, like we experience so much. And man, on the way driving to my house, I'm like, yo, talk to myself a lot. I freestyle my voice notes a lot, so I do a lot of, you know, whatever recording. Either way, I'm speaking about how, like, if I don't like a moment, like honestly, whether I don't like it or whether I like it a lot, right? At some point, I have to shift to the next moment, right? It's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, so just say for instance, something that I don't like. It's like, man, I don't like this person just did that. Now I'm in my feelings, I'm mad about it. I'm gonna allow myself to experience that experience, right? I go through all those feelings, all those thoughts, I observe it all. And then when I get time, when it's like, okay, now it's time to shift to the next moment. The next moment is now. So what effective action are we gonna do to at least how can I go coexist? What's the best case scenario I can create to coexist with this new reality that just created? So it's being present, yo. It's being present. Being present is everything.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do. Like, you have to focus on being present and not let yourself get lost in the past, but the past influences the present, and you don't want the present to continue manifesting because of the past. It's like a whole minefield of just like, you're just trying to step over it and figure it out as you go. And you're like, hey man, fingers crossed I'm getting some development out of this, because like, goddamn, it's not easy.
I really, it's definitely not easy, you know, and for me that there's so much money to make, right? But what I can say is that like I'm in gratitude. So my family, bro, like this flowers project is dedicated to my wife. First and foremost, the songs are about her, inspired by her, and then it's dedicated to all women because I mean, don't get me wrong, like men and women make babies, but women like carry these little motherfuckers, like incubate them in their bodies and then they birth them. Some through C-section got to get cut open. Right. And oh, it's crazy. It's madness. I tell
The
you, it's
amount
madness.
of rehab that they have to go through to like
Right.
survive, and before hospitals and modern medicine, the death rates of women was so astronomical. Like, I don't know, we don't talk about that enough. Of like, and
Well, they don't talk about it. And I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but I have to say this. They don't talk about it, especially they can't talk about. Well, they decide not to talk about it because the women who are dying the most are Black women. Right, like right now, Black women mortality rate is like it's so much higher than every other race of people on the whole planet. And I can tell you from experience with being very active in our pregnancy. I can tell you that the treatment is different, the conversations are different. If you don't ask certain questions, they won't even give you certain information.
how so?
Yeah,
How
yeah, it's
can you
go, sorry, go
explain?
ahead.
Can you explain what you mean by the questions and they don't give you the information? I'm interested to know in that.
Oh, well, how about this, right? I'll give you exactly what happened with my daughter, right? So my oldest daughter, she's 9. She's what I call a miracle baby because according to the doctors, she wasn't supposed to be here, or if she gets here, she'll have Down syndrome or some type of deficiency mentally in some capacity. My wife was experiencing it's called unexplained utero something something, right? Mumbo jumbo, right? Some big science term. It basically means that the umbilical cord, as the baby got bigger, the umbilical cord didn't expand into a broader circle to provide the proper nutrients as the baby grows. So the umbilical cord stayed the same, like diameter, if you will. And my daughter kept getting or tried to get bigger. She was born at 4 pounds 1 ounce. So she was like, a little
Wow.
thing. But here's the kicker, right? So we went to an appointment. They were running hella tests. Like they tried all. They took so much blood from my wife. We was in the hospital every week, every Wednesday. And one day she came in and they said, "Hey, with the percentile with your baby's weight and her health, her heartbeat, all those things, the percentile of that child that falls into those stats, they have this percentage of life or death rate, and they have some type of problems. Their brain, they're not fully developed." And I remember at that moment it hit me because one more thing she said, she offered us an abortion. She said, "I don't know if you want to have them think about an abortion. You see those kids out there. I know you don't really want that. That shit is illegal. Doctors are not supposed to offer abortions." You know what I'm saying? It's a fucking whole different person to fucking talk to. Doctors are not supposed to do that unless they have unless it's like life or death, and it wasn't life or death. Um, yeah. So that moment I snapped and I realized that they weren't telling us any facts about our child. They were just telling us statistics about children like my daughter. But her heartbeat was good. She was breathing good. She was at a weight healthy enough to, be born, right? She wasn't astronomically small. She would just fall in the preemie side. No, and correction, my daughter was 3.9. My son was 4.1. So in conclusion though, I told them we're not running any more tests because you guys aren't telling me anything that's actually wrong with my daughter. You're giving us all these stats and scaring my wife. So we had the baby. The baby was born, healthy, happy. She was born small. She stayed in the hospital for about 2-3 weeks. It was the toughest. It happened with both my first two children, but it happened for different reasons. But this particular conversation with my first child, it was it was it was so much confusion about how they wanted to handle our daughter, and the information they gave us did not match the reality of what my child was, and it felt like they want us to get rid of our baby.
And so you're putting it together. And obviously, you and I living in different countries, I've never had kids. So you'll have to forgive my ignorance on this of like, when you speak to others, they didn't go through that experience. And
A lot of sisters go through this experience, and it's always different things though, because every birth is different. So it's never like, my exact situation may not be the next person's situation, but it happens. It happens a lot. Even the idea of offering the rate of C-sections that they offer, it's absolutely like it's high. There's so many women who are not having children through the birth canal, and they're being cut open. So it's a thing where I've learned that medicine in this country ain't really medicine. It's just medicine. That's what they want to give you, medicine, right? So it's not health, right? So I do my absolute best to not subscribe to almost anything that this country has to offer me. And being in the United States, I know that statistically and historically speaking, they do not have my best interest. So I know they don't have that of my offspring. Respectfully.
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't personally love taking medicine. I there is a part of me that has, and this is maybe my monkey brain talking, I have been believing for a long period of time that, if you can, you should be able to teach your body to survive certain things. Like I personally don't love when I'm like not feeling 100%, and then the immediate reaction is, oh, let's go take a tablet. Like,
right.
That feels odd to me. There's something about that feels odd to me, of like,
right.
And let me preface, there is a huge difference between life and death. And hey, I'm just feeling like a little off. And so like, that's me. And that's how I've personally felt throughout my life. But I know a lot of people, like, they have an inkling of a headache and they go take Panadol. And I'm like, what? Maybe you just need to hydrate. Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need sleep. Maybe you just need, like, maybe something's got up and you just need to recover rather than push through and mask the problem.
Listen, I think that right there is it leads to it perpetuates the problem, right? Check this out, right? Like we're so focused on trying to like find the problem, right? That like we forget, like, yo, these are byproducts of things that I'm doing, right? Like I'm doing things, I'm eating things. I have to, what I'm saying? Like something needs to be eliminated. I need to change the way I do things. Something needs to shift, and we all know it. We all feel that our bodies communicate with us very well and very convincingly and consistently. What I'm saying? Like your body don't have to tell you too many times to sit your ass down before you better sit your ass down. So, I just think that we it's just this culture, I mean, like, we obviously in two different countries, man, but this American thing is a beast. I've never been out there in Melbourne. This American thing is a beast, man, and the culture that it presents to our children and to us, like we all came through the same thing. Like it's just different. It's just different, and we can act like, the media doesn't influence us. We could keep spinning that narrative, oh, it's just music, until it affects somebody close to you. So everything about our culture is all designed. What we eat, all the advertising, what we drink, it's all designed, bro. So being an independent artist is just being an independent entity just makes sense to me. Where I am in my life, because nothing that's provided for us makes sense.
Let me ask you this: would you move? I mean, it sounds like
yes,
yeah,
yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. I have plans on it. We're on a mission. There's things I got in place. Again, thank you for my wife. We have homes in Honduras. So I'm already doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I know that there's levels to it. And that's who we are right now. Like, how can we, and it just sounds cheesy, but it's generational wealth. We want to put ourselves in a position where, you know, I'm an Earth citizen, not a citizen of the United States. I'm an Earth citizen.
Yeah. I mean, I find it interesting because the evolution of like that thought pattern intrigues me, of like, you and I have not lived the same journey, but yet as a kid we would have both been positive and both been like, hey, this world is amazing and wonderful. And then there is a point as you grow that you start seeing things and you start
it
going,
gets spooky.
yeah, and you're like, well, how come that is like, and this is, but I was told, and you're like, huh. And it's like a weird thing to have as like a human, and like we're the only species that knows we die. Like that's a really weird thing that like as a kid at some point you're like, death exists, and you're like, okay, and you just move on, and you're like, it just exists, and that is there, and we're aware of our own mortality, and like it's just, yeah, it's this really weird thing that we go through, and we're hyper aware and we're hyper vigilant, and we live in these sophisticated societies, and yet we're still kind of in this strange place where it's like it feels good when it feels good, but when it feels bad, it feels really bad.
That is what they call a fact, right? So no, we all experiencing the same thing in our own way, you know, and that's, you know, I know right now I'm going through a major shift, metamorphosis. That happens every couple of years, right? But I feel this time it's just the stakes are higher, and because the stakes are higher, you know, I like it. I like what's happening right now. I like that I have a lot on my shoulder. I like that there are a lot of people that depend on me because, you know, I mean, for, you know, just like I said in the song, like if not us, then who? Like for my family, you know, I love my family, but I don't know of anybody trying to do what I'm trying to do or do something similar with a similar magnitude, you know, because my vision of success is me taking care of everybody or as many people as possible, right? But no, I want to be able to take care of everybody who got my blood in their body. You know, here's you know, not that I want to, you know, fund their lives for the rest of their lives, but certain things that they shouldn't have to worry about. They shouldn't have to worry about basic things like their phone being on or like the lights being on. You know, the lights being on. You ain't gotta worry about the lights being on. I'll definitely pay your light bill. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, it's what's the word? Ambitious, right? And this is probably every Black kid come from the hood. I want to take care of everybody, but I see it's being done. I've studied how it's done. I've studied the type of people that do it and why other type of people don't do it. You know, success is a very, very simple, it's a simple concept, although it may not be the easiest thing to obtain, but it all depends on your definition of success. So I know I'm rambling at this point, but those
Hey
thoughts.
man, I'm seeing through the rambling and I'm saying some good stuff. So when you say success is simple and you've learned what success, how to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard for you to boil it down in like a couple of minutes, but like, what did you see as the fundamental lesson around that?
That everyone's definition of success is different, right? That right there is the basis of it, because I may feel successful, you know, having 25 people at my show, because last show was only 3. So I'm going home for like, I'm high off life tonight, right? And your definition of success may be, you know, Lollapalooza, you know what I'm saying? And they all both are just as valuable on a person's journey, right? So since my definition of success is what it is for me, you know, for right now, it's steps to it, and each step has its own vision of success. I'm not gonna be like, damn, I'm not taking care of my family, everybody's bills right now, so I'm a failure, right? Because that's not where I'm at right now. Remember, right now, it's holding down my small family and building this up, you know, and it's happening. You know, it's happening. So yeah, it's we get to fine tune our vision of success, and it don't have a monetary value. You know, it's about how you feel about yourself and your contribution to your journey.
Well, it's like, how many steps does it take to walk a mile? Like, you know, the goal is the mile, but you can't get there unless you take the steps to get there. Like, I think that is the common mistake. I mean, what we see a lot in, and you said media influences us, it definitely does. But what we see a lot is randoms coming from nowhere and being successful and being famous. And we're like, oh, I could become famous overnight. I could skip all the steps. I don't have to focus on my growth. I don't have to ask myself the difficult questions. I don't have to challenge myself and do the shit that I don't like to be able to get there. But the truth is, that's the wrong message to learn.
Well, you said a key word, right? It's about distinctions, right? Being able to distinguish, certain words and the energy that it carries. So if we're talking success, but then we're talking about fame, right? And it ain't the same thing. So we see people who successful means who gets famous overnight. Sometimes it happens in less than a day. Happens during the day. The person just blows up for whatever reason. But we also know that it doesn't last long a lot of times because it's not rooted in a strong enough like why, like a purpose. So after the trend goes or after the catchphrase gets overtaken by a new catchphrase, you start to hear less and less of these people. And it's not to say that they haven't found their own independent lane, but they're not on that white hot stage. That white hot stage, nobody who's really on the stage owns it. People who own the stage, we just know company names, and we don't know whoever they assign, whoever they hire. We don't know the people the families who own these companies, but not that that's important. The most important thing is that we're watching people play on the stage that they don't own, and that's how you get canceled. You can't cancel me. I can't. How the fuck? Who going? They don't pay me. They don't pay me. They can't cancel me. I'm actively building a presence and a platform, value and myself and my name and my brand. Where it's like, yo, I own this. The people they hear from me. I don't need whatever radio station, whatever television station, whatever production company that historically has been fucking us over. So until I get the leverage, which is the numbers, which is we got better numbers now. So now the conversations are different. I'm having better conversations. I like this conversation. Now that we have some stats on the board because what I didn't do before was market. All you got marketing is the game. Your product don't even really even matter. Product don't matter. It's about the marketing. They sold million. You ever heard of the Snuggie?
Yeah.
Right. Of course you did, damn it. They sold millions of them shits. You know what I'm saying? With just clever marketing. They knew what time people came in the house. You know what I'm saying? They knew the hours to run a commercial and they ran it a lot. And you see it enough, you're gonna buy that shit. It's 30 degrees outside, you're gonna buy a backwards robe. It's a fucking backwards robe for God's sake. So this time around, I'm more focused on marketing than and just that. I'm always going to be 10 toes down in the music, but the marketing is the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on something really important is if you own 100% stake in your thing, you don't have to answer to anyone other than yourself.
You can't get canceled. You can't cancel me when I pay myself. I cut the checks. The money comes from my account. You can't cancel me. That's why I love Dame Dash. It's a few of us out here. I'm saying? Obviously, he has more time in the game. His brand is at this point is beyond international. He is one of the most known people in the world. You know what I'm saying? Dame Dash in this hip hop community is the fucking man. And I think he's a man because he owns his shit. He pops his shit. No different than Prince. You know what I'm saying? No different than Currency, Dom Kennedy. It's a bunch of guys around the world, who they take the time to build something. And at that point, the leverage is different. So now when I do decide to get money with these people who I know don't really mean the culture well, they just want to get some money, they're going to come to me and get some money too. We can make money together, but it's going to be on my terms. Well, I don't have to make money with you. Your competitors are offering this amount. You get to talk filthy business-wise. And it's disrespectful in the business conversations, but it's the facts. We got to own some shit and have some equity in some shit, some value, some worth in some shit before we start reaching out to these companies that we know are going to take advantage of us.
Well, that it is just them doing business. Like that's the truth. Like, and that's and I think that is difficult for some people to accept is like, hey, they're just going to always make the decision that is always going to benefit them the most. So if you don't come ready and if you don't come prepared, prepare to be taken advantage of. That is what business people do, is they see an opportunity to maximize success and they're going to do it because at the end of the day, that's what they're there to do. And this is the only reason I like companies is because they don't lie. But when I mean they don't lie, I mean
that's a big statement.
Hold on. They don't lie about their purpose in the sense of at the end of the day, you can think whatever they want. There's only one thing they care about. And at the end of the day, it's going to those stock meetings and it's going to shareholder meetings and it's money goes up. They will tell you about doing these things to make people that is only for the meeting that they have at the end of the year to be like, okay, did we make money or not? And did we make money at so they will lie to the consumer or the public to tell you that they're more than money, but that's not true. It just straight up is not true. So that I will say, but at the end of the day, every company is there to make money. That is it. That's why I like companies, because I know that for a fact. No one is there to lose money. No one's going to shareholder meetings going, hey, we lost money, but it's all good because our employees feel a little bit better. That shit does not exist. So people just, that's the truth. Go to one of those meetings. See what happens to boards when they don't make money.
Listen, I mean, it's the American way. This is what capitalism does. This is it. This is the game. The game is I gotta win, and sometimes for me to win, somebody has to lose. That's what negotiation is. What's best for me, inevitably, in most cases, maybe worse for you. It's just simple. I won 60-40, you won 50-50, or I won 60-40. I know for me to get that, you have to take a loss. So it's business. So I've learned to accept it and respect it. Going into this thing, business first is essential, because some people don't have business skills. Some people just is their first hurrah, and they're acting most predominantly out of emotions. So bad business happens because now a person is mad at you. It's so many ways it falls apart. Just, I didn't like that you did this. This isn't in line with the company's moral compass. Something, this tweet you did 15 years ago, you gotta go.
Hey, if they're a brand, they just know. It's like they just know, hey, if we hold you, we're gonna lose money because people think this. And hey, we don't care. I personally couldn't care. Like, they can be like, hey man, I don't care, but our consumers care and we cannot afford it. That's the truth. Yeah.
You fucking peace sign. So listen, we see it all the time. It's happening right now to a brother, and over at Disney. They said that they had his walking papers on. It was already typed. They did through Chat GPT. They just had to hit the button.
Well,
it was ready.
Well, to be fair, his, I think, is different. I don't know the specifics. I mean, yeah, I think when you do, domestic violence is pretty hard to stand behind. You ask me personally.
Listen, I agree. This conversation gets tricky because you got your Ben Roethlisbergers, you got your people who did some things, man, and they've been able to get grace.
Chris Brown.
That brothers. Yeah, listen, we could keep it. Listen, we can name people.
So many people. It's wild.
For decades,
they pick and choose for sure.
It gets spooky, and it gets back to the truth of being indigenous in America. You know what I'm saying? Indigenous, whether you came from another continent another continent or not. You know what I'm saying? Just the diaspora of the enslaved ancestors, dog. Everything that's happening right now, it just shows you that ain't much change, and we can act like, we got streets named after us. We got, buildings and libraries named after us. I can keep naming stuff, but they're still shooting people. People still, the wealth gap is still doing what the wealth gap does. What they said, what company was that? What one of those banks, man, all of them for the most part, but one in particular, I can't think of the name right now. Navy Federal. They give white families that make a fraction of what, no, white families making, this amount get more loans than black people making this amount, so, on percentage wise. So the racism in the what's the word? Colonization. The homies is still happening. It just looks different now. So, we laugh about it because, like, it's woven into the fabric of our society. You know, it's bugged out. Being
Let me
you
let me ask
know,
you this, because what would need to happen for it to change? Like, what does change look like?
it's more independence. It's more people playing their own game. You know what I'm saying? Or being playing their game together. It's economics. It has to start with economics. If it's not economics, you know, if we're not free economically, you know, I mean, we have our own communities, we have our own, you know, banks, we have our own entertainment institutions, our own schools and such, because what the way that's been proposed to us, it simply isn't working. And historically speaking, every time we try to do what I'm speaking about right now, it has got literally blown up. We talk about Black Wall Street. They literally drop bombs from airplanes on it. You got Harlem, you got all these different Black places where Black people were doing their thing, and the drugs hit the streets crazy and the guns hit the street crazy, So right now the pills, the drugs have hit the street in a different form. Before it was illegal drugs, now it's pharmaceutical drugs, the opioid crisis we have right now. So we have to understand that question is tricky, because even if I gave you the right answer right now, if you ask me that question 10 years from now, the game would have changed in that 10 years, and that answer don't even apply no more. I need a new answer. And the people with the answers, they get shot, and they get thrown in jail for rape and crazy shit.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. It's all about asking the right questions. And the hard part is, and this is what I always struggle with, is like, okay, let's say we got rid of our system. What do we replace it with? Like,
that's the question.
And I have no idea of a bet. Like, there are always going to be people who suffer, unfortunately. Like, mental health, like, I think that we as a society can never get rid of suffering. Suffering is either self-perpetuated or it is perpetuated by other people, but suffering exists. I think it is part of the human condition. We're drawn to negativity in this weird way. That's why a lot of people have like toxic relationships. They're like, they know it's bad for you, but you do it. That's why you eat bad food. Like, I eat shit food sometimes, and I'm like, this is never going to make me feel better, but I know I eat it. There's something about it, there's something about the mentality of like, humans don't always make the decisions that's best for them. You know what I mean? That's the weird thing about us as humans. And like, my big thing is like, you can only take accountability for your shit. Like, that's what you got to take accountability for, is like, hey, yeah, you don't get to control the country you're born in. You don't get to take control of the family you're born into. But you have to, at some stage, take control of like, I am in control of this little circle of shit, but it's mine, and I'm going to make sure that I do the right thing. But it's like, but that's how it starts. And I think, when you talk about your goals of like supporting people that you love and being able to look after them, it starts with supporting yourself and loving yourself and looking after yourself. And then it slowly builds out, and it's like, okay, I'm doing those things. And when you talk about success, successfully owning your own shit is something to be aspired to.
No, you just do it. No, you just do it. Like, you just do that shit. That's the thing. Like, what if, right? What if all this esoteric shit, even me saying I want to take care of my own family, the reality is, even that's a weird place to put myself in, just people to be pulling at my finances like that. So there's a way, even me saying that, there's a way to go about it that I feel good, I'm helping it out enough that it makes sense, while I'm not just being used as a crutch. Because ultimately, we want to empower our people. Ultimately, like I want people. I don't want to take care of people. I don't want to make music just to make people dance. I want people to get up and want to take positive action because I exist. You know what I'm saying? I want people want to better themselves. Each household is different. Each culture is different, and and for the most part, not for the most part, but it's like, no, like you have your own family culture in your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all may be Christian or whatever religion, whatever. But like, in this household, we do these things. So it all starts with the house, the nucleus, the family, mommy, daddy, and on down. You know, our families got to get stronger. You know, we really got to get back to loving each other. And you know, they say if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. You want to go far, you go together. So it all starts with family, and then we build from there. So even right now, I want to take care of my whole family, but right now my goal is to retire my wife. You know, like I'm starting right exactly where I am right now. I know I have these big dreams of saving the planet, you know, that's one step at a time.
I think that's why a lot of people, old people, do gardening. They realize they can't save the planet, but I can save my little patch over here and make it beautiful. There's something, because like I fucking hate gardening, and when I see people garden, I'm like, how it's awful. But there's something about it to me that's like, well, yeah, I can control this little bit. I can make this part beautiful. There's something there's beauty in like I just can control my controllables, and I make what I can control pretty. And through the combination of lots of people doing that, the world gets significantly better.
Agreed. I have a song like the next single coming off my project, Flowers, you know, Flowers demo came out, but those songs are the first 4 singles off of the actual album. But the fifth song is going to be a song called Who Decides War. And I opened the first 2 verses by saying, it's like Buddha said, if you like a flower, you pluck it. You pluck it. Or you could water it daily to show how much you really love it, if you love it. And it's like the idea of you know, another concept for flowers is allowing things to bloom, allowing, you know, when you get a seed, you know, like you don't be like, oh, this is the most prettiest, most beautiful seed I've ever seen in my life. You have to plant it and cultivate it and let it be what it's going to be, you know. And certain plants obviously grow better in other conditions. Some of them don't grow at all in certain conditions. So we got to get out of our comfort zones. We got to allow ourselves to blossom, not only as individuals but together. You know, as families, as friends. You know, with our craft, you have to let yourself bloom into what you're going to be. And it takes time and it takes patience, but it takes work, you know?
Yeah. Well, speaking of something I did want to ask you about, we've gone through this philosophical journey today. Not what I expected us to be talking about. I'm kind of glad. I said I'd ask you about other stuff, but I'm like, we've gone down this rabbit hole, and hey, this is what happens when you don't plan conversations, is like you just get the organic nature of it. But I did want to ask, because you went on I was looking through your Spotify. It's been a while since you started like creating a lot of music. Like you came back in 2023. What was that break associated with?
The short answer is I lost myself, right? I realized that, you know, my art is not bound to just being a rapper, you know? So I wanted to help out the people the artists I was working with, whether we were making songs together or whatever. I wanted to, if they were in position, I wanted to help them, like give them that boost. So it didn't matter if I started taking photographs for you, do write-ups for you, you know, I help style you, you know, whatever, you know, and of course writing music, you know, so I began to I just attached myself to projects. I found joy in hearing an artist's story and then making a song out of it. You know, it showed, I learned a lot along the way. I learned how to engineer and record myself. I worked at a studio for 4 years and I learned so much. I really understood the quality of music. I stepped away from the music entirely. I became a chef by accident. I ran
That is the
seriously.
funniest phrase I've ever heard. I became a chef by accident.
I became a chef by accident. Seriously, right over here. I went into for a drink with my guy, my first time ever really visiting this bar over here, and I met the manager's wife, and my guy's bigging me up like, you don't know JimmySoDope, he could rap, he could do this. He bigging me up, and she like, can he cook? I said, well, hey, I'm an excellent sous chef. She said, okay, well, meet my guy. Long story short, I got hired on the spot. 5 days of being a sous chef, right? The chef quit and moved to Costa Rica. And I became the chef for the next 6-7 months.
That is a chef by accident.
As a chef, you know, so these last few years have been crazy for me. You know, I ran an upholstery company. You know, I mean, I'm cleaning sofas and carpets and decks and marble floors. I'm just like, you know, it's just like my life, my journey. I got so far off my music. I became a journalist, I became a full-time journalist. You know, I made it up to, mind you, no, not a day in college. You know, but I did enter a program called the Newark Stories News and Collaborative, and shout out to Britt. You know, she allowed me. I was already doing journalism work by writing for people, but I didn't do it professionally at the time. And you know, with that, shout out to WBGO, they taught me how to, you know, journalistic integrity, and they told me all the things how to really write and connect with people. I know how to write. I know how to write because I know how to tell stories to my music. I was already engaging people with words, so now I just do it in a different form, you know. And I was a natural at it. You know, I was on the radio Saturday mornings, FM radio. You know, really broadcasting worldwide, 100,000 listeners every day. You know, so you know, and I reached a point where I was working so much that my wife and I, we were just passing each other by. You know, we had 2 kids at the time, and on my way in, she went on her way out, and vice versa. And one day she's like, "Yo, I can't get anything done. I'm just, you know, I can't even get my nails done." So I pretty much quit everything. You know, and I still wrote from home though, but I became a work from home dad. And you know, she was out here running hospitals and such, and you know, now it's just like, you know, she does so much for our family. You know, it's only right that I retire her. Like it's just a start. I told her earlier, like only God could draw up a play like this. This is the definition to stay down till you come up. This is what love really looks like. It's a roller coaster, it's ups and downs. I've done everything wrong. I've done everything wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you know, to be in this position, happy, you know, and we have a brand new baby. We have 3 children. We have a 9-year-old, my son will be 2 in February, and I have a 2-month-old baby. So, you know, we've fallen in love again. She's just dope. I don't know, bro. I'm on like a natural high, and just watching it fucking like blow the fuck up in my face. It's amazing.
Hey man, it's so good to see you genuinely happy.
I thank you. I appreciate that. Yo, word up. Word up.
Yeah. It's weird when you talk through your journey. Like it's almost like the many things that you were doing is the embodiment of you not knowing who you are anymore.
Yeah. 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 You know, bro, 2020, the pandemic hit, everybody was inside. You know, when everybody was talking about, yo, we back outside, I was already outside driving Uber. I never went inside. Like when everybody went inside, I started driving Uber. Well, I started driving Uber a little bit before that. And then it just rolled into the pandemic. So the roads are clear, people needed rides. I was the guy. I was outside the whole time. Like I never and I was still in the studio, you know, still in the studio, making music for myself and others. You know what I'm saying? And just being around creative people. I never stopped working. What I'm experiencing now is that, you know, they say when preparation, no, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That's what's happening for me. I never stopped working, building this thing that I'm building. The idea never changed. The approach has changed numerous times, but the idea and the goals have never changed. You know, I want to be one of the biggest independent artists in the world ever. You know, I don't care about signing to labels and all that, the whole fucking spiel. You know, and now that we're here, it's like we're watching it manifest, and sometimes I can't believe it. Sometimes like, yo, it ain't happening fast enough, right? Sometimes it can happen faster, you know. But I'm just experiencing this, man, and like you said, it's a journey.
Yeah. Something that I can't help but think is like, and probably something that I picked up on early, which is you're clearly an intelligent person, and you said that you talk to yourself and you have conversations. Your mind seems to run at a million miles an hour. How do you get it to be less noisy sometimes? How do you find the moments to enjoy quiet?
Well, I have to wake up before everybody else. That's the that's the that's the how, right? It's only possible if I wake up. No, it's not that's only possible. It raises the probability of it happening, right? Me having a day with a more peaceful mindset. You know, I'm less. I'm not as easy to trigger or in any way, whatever, because I meditate in the morning. You know, meditation, mindfulness. being present. You know, being present sounds so philosophical, but it's your breathing. Are you present? Are you acknowledging the fact that you're breathing and not just on autopilot? Are you breathing through your nose or your mouth? Are you even breathing? You ever talk to somebody that wasn't breathing? You know, so like it's being present is really breathing, and meditation is just mindfulness. That is the only way.
Yeah. I mean, I always find going for a walk for me is like, if I can
meditation,
move my legs and I can just, and these days, and it sounds, when I tell people, they're like, how? Like, I just actually find that I can go for a walk with no music, that I can just walk and sit in my thoughts and just like ponder. And I don't know what it is. The act of simply walking, it's like, it's so ingrained in us that like the simple act of doing it and thinking is.
Even that's mindfulness though, right? When you study like Zen Buddhism, they talk about how mindfulness is everything. You know, sleeping on the floor. If you're sleeping and you're consciously breathing, everything is mindfulness, because everything has the opportunity to be mindfulness, because if you just become conscious of your breathing, you know. So yeah, walking is definitely one of those good ones. Your strides, and you may not even know that you have a rhythm. Inhale, exhale with each step, you know. So yeah, and a lot of times when you're not actively training yourself on mindfulness, sometimes we don't even know that we're actively practicing it. We just don't know that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I think you dropped a lot of wisdom today, my friend. Probably some stuff I'm going to have to think about afterwards. But yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I only have one more question for you. I feel like we could just talk for hours and hours on end. So, and
right.
Hey, honestly,
my family like we're hungry. Like they're looking at me right now like we're hungry. Stop talking. We need sustenance.
Well, I'll ask you the toughest question that I'm going to ask you all day. I think I've asked you some challenging ones, but it's the only question I plan on the show. If you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of, can be any genre of music, cannot be your own music, what would it be?
Okay. You know, this is a really good question, because I am an album man, right? I mean, if I have to pick one, I'll pick one. I'll say Commons B, produced by Kanye West. That album, I personally believe, is just a perfect piece of art. It touches so many different vibrations, so many different sounds, textures of music, the hooks, the flows, the conversations, the high level storytelling. Commons B is, you know, should be in like the Library of Congress if it's not there already. Then you have another one I think that people don't talk about. You know, I think A. Marie's first album is just stupendous. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand how you know the whole world just let this happen, like, and she's just not here no more with that fire ass album. Wait, hold on, my daughter trying to give me stuff. Stop giving me stuff. Hold up. I'm trying to think. Reflection Eternal. Reflection Eternal. The one RPM. RPM is an excellent piece of work. Talib Kweli is standing in a space that not too many people could stand next to. People haven't done the albums that well, you know. So that's a good one. Shit, Marvin Gaye, what's going on? I'm an album man, bro. Solange knows.
Yeah.
I've decided, you know, it's a lot of albums that I think that just have just come and go, and they mean so much, because I feel like they stamped themselves in a space of like, man, this is such a good body of work that this playlist era would never understand, and people, I understand why people are falling out of, like, you know, the conversation, you know, those albums.
Well, hey man, I am a big fan of albums, hence why I asked the question. Like, as you said, it's a body of work. It's like they put together a movie or a painting in its full picture. Like they're doing everything, the background, they're doing the full landscaping as opposed to just a small part of it. So yeah, I think albums are what make artists great. And I think everyone is looking forward to you dropping an album, you coming out and releasing your next body of work, man. But
Well,
for
it's my debut
anyone,
album. Maybe my
yeah,
debut. This is my debut album. You know, that's why this is so important to me. It's why I love it. I love the stories that I'm telling. And this album means a lot to me, just not only for the position I'm in my life, but just like what it means for the people who have been watching Jimmy Dice, all the way up to Jimmy So Dope. You know, it's just an amazing story. I can't wait for people to hear it.
and so they need to get primed. They need to get ready because, I mean, they can go listen to 2 singles this year already, Hide and Seek and Goddamn, and then the Flowers demo came out as well. So people need to get onto that train, get themselves hyped so that they can wait for your album to drop. But man, absolute pleasure having you come through and having this conversation with you. As I said, extremely insightful. I'm sure I'm going to have to ponder it for a few hours afterwards, to say the least. But yeah, man, is there anything else you wanted to plug or shout out?
Definitely. For anybody who wants to really get in tune with me, the best way to get to know me is my music. And I have a website, textjimmy.com. The sound is spelled exactly how it sounds, textjimmy.com, or just simply text me, right? What I'm doing right now will always be on textjimmy.com. But if you text me 917-398-9199, of course it's United States area code, country code, the +1 917-398-9199. And people on my list, you get the music before everybody else gets it. You get discounts on my merch. You get invited to members only studio sessions and really get to see me actually build the album. And that's really what the whole promo is for the album, is actually my mixing sessions, mixing down these singles, and then also going into the rest of the record. So, yes, connect with me. Definitely connect with me.
I love that message, man. I think you're the only one on my show who's given out a phone number. So, hey, good luck.
Oh, and Instagram. Oh my God, Instagram, JimmySoDope, JimmySoDope. Follow me.
Love that, man. JimmySoDope. As we said at the straight out the gate, it's a dope name. It's so simple. It's so straightforward. You know that your reaction is JimmySoDope. So, man, absolute pleasure having you come through. I really appreciate you sharing. And yeah, we'll have to do this again, hopefully in person next time.
Oh man, that'd be the best case scenario, brother. Thank you again for having me, man. It's been a pleasure, bro.